Welcome to this explainer. Today we aren't just going to look at cold facts and spreadsheets. No, we're doing something a little different. We are literally placing you directly into the paws of the savanna's apex predator. I want you to imagine a beautifully illustrated, storybook-style documentary coming to life in these warm, golden tones, but with you as the central character. We're going to explore what it truly takes to survive, to rule, and eventually to fade away in the completely unforgiving African wilderness.
You step into the tall grass. Welcome to the savannah. But okay, let's be real for a second. Your story doesn't actually begin with some mighty earth-shaking roar or a victorious hunt. Actually, scratch that. It starts in extreme vulnerability. You are a tiny, completely helpless cub. You're blind to the world around you, hidden safely away from rival lions in this incredibly warm, protected den. In these first few crucial weeks, your entire universe is literally just the earthy smell of the dirt and an absolute 100% dependence on your mother for warmth, food, and, well, survival.
And right from the moment of birth, you face this massive, extreme contrast. It's like night and day. On one hand, you have the quiet comfort of your family, the gentle sibling bonding, the soft, golden warmth of the den. But contrasted against that, the terrifying, predator-filled world just outside. The open wilderness is vast, dangerous, and it just doesn't care about you at all. Now, you might be totally unaware of the hyenas and rival males prowling just beyond the tall grass, but that tension, that underlying fear of the unknown, that dictates your every single move.
All right, Chapter 1, The Vulnerable Beginning and Lessons of the Grasslands.
So, eventually, you have to leave the absolute safety of that den. You step out into the dry grasslands and boom, the real education begins. The world just opens up around you in these gorgeous, cinematic sunset oranges and dusty browns. And here's the fascinating part. Play becomes your most vital education for survival. Your childhood is this perfectly balanced mix of playful curiosity and harsh, totally unforgiving survival lessons. First, you're just playing with your siblings, tumbling in the dirt, but you're actually building the critical muscle strength you'll need to eventually take down prey. Next, you quietly watch the lionesses hunt. You observe their stealth. Then you begin to really understand danger. And finally, you sharpen those raw instincts. The savannah is a brutal classroom, and your exams are quite literally life or death.
Now, you might be wondering, what about the rest of the lions? Well, understanding your place within this complex pride hierarchy is honestly just as important as learning how to stalk your prey. The pride isn't just some random group of animals hanging out. It's a deeply intertwined, highly sophisticated social structure. We're talking roaring communication, subtle body language, and unbreakable familial bonds that dictate your protection. Your eventual role out there, whether you become a leading matriarch coordinating the hunts or a reigning male defending the borders, it all depends entirely on mastering these intricate family dynamics from a super young age.
Which brings us to Chapter 2, The Brutal Realities of Survival.
So that whole illusion of safety we talked about, it shatters pretty fast. You are thrust out of the playful golden grass and straight into the brutal reality of the dusty plains. This is the phase of life where you quickly learn that raw strength alone absolutely does not guarantee survival. The environment itself is like a major character in your story, and it is entirely indifferent to your royal status. You face a relentless gauntlet. Think about seasonal droughts that turn rivers to cracked mud, leading to severe, life-threatening food shortages. Think about sudden, fierce storms that leave you freezing in the night. And then, of course, the living threats. Deadly encounters with bold hyenas, massive defensive elephants, aggressive buffalo, relentless rival lions looking to steal your territory, and, obviously, the ever-present human threats.
To survive those crazy seasonal food shortages and crippling droughts, you absolutely must adapt and you must excel. You have to master highly coordinated hunting teamwork and ambush techniques right alongside your pride. It's like a finely tuned machine. First, you coordinate silently with your family. Second, you stalk incredibly low through the dusty plains, blending perfectly into the dry earth. Third comes the explosive, lightning-fast execution of the ambush. And finally, the really dangerous physical struggle to secure the meal. Every single member of the pride has to execute their role flawlessly if anyone is going to eat.
Think of every single hunt as a super high-stakes turning point. A successful hunt, that brings the emotional high of power and victory, which directly translates to physical pride, strength, and continued survival. But a failed hunt? Man, a missed jump, a slight shift in the wind, that brings the agonizing emotional toll of fear and loneliness. And the physical result? gnawing hunger, deep exhaustion, and a terrifying vulnerability to all those rival predators we talked about earlier. The margin for error here is razor thin.
Let's map this journey out, because it really builds your cinematic transformation over time. You go from those helpless weeks as a little cub in the den to the vital months of sharpening your survival instincts, right into the monumental years marked by your very first successful hunt. And finally, a decade in, adulthood and pride leadership. You've completely transitioned from a playful learner to a roaring sovereign. You're engaging in fierce territorial battles to protect what is rightfully yours. You are the apex. You know, we so often picture adult lions just like sleeping lazily in the shade all day. But being a pride leader carries a heavy, constant burden. Look at the breakdown. 35% of your focus goes strictly to defending your territory from rivals. That's a full-time job alone. Then 30% is consumed by the exhausting task of hunting and just surviving. 20% goes to managing those complex family dynamics we mentioned, and 15% to raising and protecting vulnerable cubs. It's a demanding, completely non-stop existence.
Moving into Chapter 3, Old Age and the Natural Ending.
You've fought, you've ruled, and you've survived against all the odds. But, well, time is the one enemy you just cannot defeat. Not even a lion can beat the clock. The seasons of crippling droughts, the accumulated scars from all those territorial battles, the near-death experiences, they really start to take their toll on your body. The once unstoppable sovereign begins to slow down. It's a poignant, deeply emotional shift. You go from the powerful, victorious pride leader of the past to an older, slower, and much weaker survivor. You might face the harsh wilderness alone now as an outcast, or you might end up entirely dependent on the very cubs you used to protect. You spend your quiet days resting, remembering past victories under those beautiful, cinematic sunset oranges of the Savannah.
We're wrapping up this explainer with a final reflection on your beautifully illustrated, completely natural ending. The circle of life on the dusty plains is undefeated. The wilderness gives, and eventually, for sure, the wilderness takes back. So as we close out this journey through the tall grass, I want to leave you with this one thought. When the wilderness finally calls you home, when the Savannah reclaims you to the earth, what will be the lasting echo of your life as a lion? What legacy will your roar leave behind?